Well, let me ask, who do I have with me here today?
My name is Maulissa Braverman.
Melissa?
Maulissa Braverman.
I typed that in wrong because he didn't tell me Melissa. He told me something. Maulissa.
Well,
M-A-U?
it's spelled M-A-U.
Okay.
M-I-S-S-A, but it's pronounced Melissa.
Oh, good.
It's one of those extra vowel nights at the house. My parents were like.
Well, fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing that. Well, where are you originally from, if you don't mind me asking?
Originally from Trinidad and Tobago, and I was 9 when we moved from there to New York, and I've been in Polk County since 95.
95. So you were raised up in New York, and you've been down here since 95, and you're a bull?
I'm a bull, yes.
All
But I
right.
went to high school here, Haines City High. So,
Haines City, okay.
Yeah, I've been here for a minute, since 95, yeah, so.
And I understand you're running for a position.
I am. I'm running for Auburndale City Commission, seat 3.
Auburndale, the city of Auburndale,
Yeah.
C3 Commission, that's this November.
Correct, November 4th.
Fantastic. And so, what did you major in college?
Mass comm, broadcast journalism of all things, but I didn't really follow that. I ended up on the sales side of things, actually.
Oh, the sales. Okay.
Yeah.
You worked for the Ledger at some point?
Yeah, I did. I worked for the Ledger from 05 to 2010, and that's kind of where I saw both sides of content creation, the broadcast side of things for a newspaper and their TV version when they had a segment of it. But then I also saw the sales side of it, and that's where I decided to make the switch to the actual sales side of things because I liked the cars they had.
Oh, the cars they had. That's a new one. So, in the grand scheme of things, they used to have the newspaper. I had a newspaper in like 1978, 79. I was a newspaper, and then they got rid. I think they had just bought a multi-million-dollar machine, and then the internet came out, and they lost that. So you've seen it go from the old analog newspaper that's out there to the digital side of things at the Ledger.
Yes, and it was an interesting time because during that time, I was in the digital department. We were selling internet advertising before it was cool, before people knew it was actually going to be a staple. So they had
Like 95, 96?
No, this was back in 05, 06.
Okay.
And even though things were moving in that direction, they still wanted to hold on to the core product, which was the newspaper, because it had the biggest generating revenue. They had the infrastructure in place, and unfortunately, the digital side of things was a smaller piece of the pie. Though more profitable, it was a smaller piece of the pie. And though they tried to keep up with it, I think as a whole, newspapers in general tried to band together to make sure that they protected the content, which was a strategy, but unfortunately it's not a strategy that lasted, when it comes to community journalism, when it comes to social media, these are all things that newspapers couldn't really anticipate. So unfortunately, because of the free content out there, that was the demise ultimately of paid content by a newspaper.
Yeah. Deflation
Yeah.
has kicked in.
Yeah.
And the internet is free. You can get all the information free. And if your business model is based on inflation or advertising, now it's a challenge.
Or even controlling content. Trying to make people pay for content is incredibly difficult because you could just Google it and find it someplace else. So trying to control it is what the newspaper industry tried to do, but unfortunately that sort of backfired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, you're running, or what are some of the issues that you want to see changed, that you've recognized, that you know that you could be a better, if you don't mind sharing some of that with me?
Sure. Some of the things that Auburndale, as well as all of Polk County, is facing is the growth and lack of infrastructure to support growth. The streets are failing, schools are overpopulated. These are all things that are happening. And it's not just a one answer is going to change or fix any of those things. It's going to take partnerships from the county, the state, and the city in order to fix these road issues that we're having. They have to wait for a road to actually fail before DOT will pay attention to it and give it resources.
You didn't know that.
Yeah, it's something, and I learned these things just by attending the city commission meetings. They have it at 6 o'clock in the evening, 7 o'clock in the evening, so people can actually attend it after work. And I'm a regular there, and though sometimes it was intimidating at first to sort of go in there and not know the jargon or understand what they were saying, I continued to go for the past 6 years, so now I have a better understanding of some of the things that happens without knowing what the commissioner is actually seeing and things that the city planner is facing. You can still learn enough to understand sort of what is going on and why decisions are made like they are. Not all of them, but you could probably get a good gist of it. So I encourage everybody to go to the city commission meetings or watch it on TV or something, because you'll eventually start to catch it. And that is a way people can educate themselves on what is happening within the city. I'm a really big advocate for small businesses. I think we advocate for logistics, we advocate for warehousing, we advocate for these large corporations.
Yeah.
But the small guys, the everyday guys, the LLCs, the sole proprietors, I think those guys are everyday heroes, because sometimes you're by yourself and you have a smaller staff and you still have to get up and make it work. And I'm a complete advocate for those everyday heroes that wake up every day, sustain their families and the community, give back to the community by being a small business owner, especially with a focus on trades. That is something that I think has fallen by the wayside. People want the computer jobs or the desk jobs, which is nice, and don't get it wrong, I have one of those.
Right.
But I think there's also a place for people who want to learn about what it takes to be a plumber, what it takes to be an AC repair person, and the benefits of it. You have freedom of schedule that most other professions that are 9 to
Not
5,
9 to 5.
and you're sitting at a desk, you have the freedom to make your schedule in these professions and earn really, really good money. A lot of my clients that I represent are trade-based, and I see the lifestyle they have. I understand the hours that they work. They work hard, but they play hard as well, and I think a lot of young people aren't exposed to it, so they don't know that's a path that's viable for them, especially right here local in Auburndale and Polk County, that they don't have to leave. They can stay here with their family structure and still be able to make a great living.
Yeah. I remember in the 9th grade, we had leather class where you could make belts and all that, and we had wood class. I took them both. I took wood shop where we cut, we made shells, we did everything. So it was in high school that we started to develop some of the trades that were available. I remember, and I guess they don't have that.
I've never heard of that. I mean,
You've never heard of it?
I've never heard of leather shop. I've heard
Are
of
you
like
kidding
workshop.
me?
I've never heard of leather shop.
Wow, that's shocking. Give that. Actually, that was the 8th grade.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole class, the semester.
Yeah.
We did different projects we made a belt. We got to
Yeah.
design our own belt. 2 or 3 different things on. Oh, we made a wallet.
Okay.
And then Mr. Carney. I'll never forget Mr. Carney. He was an old man at that time, but he showed us how to use a jigsaw and make things with wood. Wow,
Nice.
that is shocking.
I've heard of shop though, and maybe leather was part of that. I was just never
Yeah,
part of it.
yeah.
But I did take sewing class. It did not pan out well, but I
Okay.
did take sewing class back in high school.
Yeah, they had home ec for a lot of times it was the ladies that took the home ec.
Yeah.
So yeah, my dad was a master electrician, and I went into the maintenance field. So the blue collar, I could tell you every closet at Watson Clinic. I worked at Watson Clinic for a few years. I could tell you every nook cranny, how many toilets I unclogged and repaired the pipes. And so I know the blue collar, you see the work that you've done.
That's right.
And you get paid. So do you see any wasteful money over there in Auburndale, where you see that there's resources that's not being used as efficiently as it could be, and that you could put an eye on and make changes?
So I'm not sure about necessarily quote unquote wasteful, because they go through the budget and it's usually almost always balanced every year when they're talking about the annual budget and so on. But is there a need for more things like roads that are flooding and putting lift stations there so you can pump that water? Yes, there's a ton of need for that, especially in the historic communities. Auburndale is very old. In fact, my house was built in 1900. And some of the houses, there are a lot of houses that are that way. And the infrastructure, especially with the building that's going on, people aren't necessarily concerned about the water that infiltrates a house because of the lack of lift stations, the lack of infrastructure, thinking of the historic people that have been there, whereas the new communities are being, cleared and they're having all of the pipes go in and so on and so forth, but the historic communities are the ones sort of suffering at this point. So is there room for better spending in there? I hope that's in their 5-year plan. I hope that's something that they're considering and actually planning for. But that is something that they absolutely need to think about. And as far as even resources within schools, they have these academies that kids are learning Photoshop, or they're learning videography, they're learning CPR so they could go into nursing and so on. Why can't we have more of those types of academies and give those kids even more experience, where it's mentorships and internships within companies, whether it's a large company, a small company, or any of those things. But let's really focus in on those things and provide more funding to it, because a lot of times the funding comes from fundraisers or the kids, asking for donations and so on and so forth. Like, why isn't there a place that's carved out so these kids could get that real world experience? I mean, I saw we did a showcase the other day to highlight what the kids are actually doing. And they were so passionate. there's this stigma that says that kids today don't have eye contact and they are not real confident, they can't speak. These kids were amazing. There was the Graphic Design Academy, and they were showing all of the things that they can print, whether it's a mug, a banner, and they design it, they lay it out, and it's something that businesses can actually pay to have those students produce. And this is something that the business community doesn't typically know, and that was the point of it, is kind of showing what our high schools are able to do right now. So I think more funding, more interest, more getting the message out about what these kids are able to do will create more opportunities for them long term.
That's fantastic. I couldn't agree more. I'm going to hit you with some questions that you're not prepared for, okay?
Let's go.
You've got some resilience. Let's see. How do you feel about the governor giving up on the homeowners tax? You know, the taxes for home ownership. That means that the communities, including Auburndale, is going to be losing some funds. How do you feel, and what do you see about replacing that, or if it does go through?
Yeah. So I was at the mayor's roundtable a couple of weeks ago, and this is one of the hot button issues that all of the mayors were facing, is what is going to happen should these property taxes actually have to really go away. And those things, like you said, fund the schools, they fund the streets, they fund the fire emergency, they fund the police, and who are you gonna call if those things aren't in place to actually have those resources for you? So some of the solutions that were proposed during that roundtable was doing a different type of tax, but you cannot be without that.
So now we're gonna be double taxed?
No, because if property tax do in fact go away, there will be a different taxation.
What about the people who are renting and their owners are putting the tax into the rent and they're paying it themselves? And now they're gonna have to pay a second tax.
Well, if the property tax goes away, then it goes away. That's not a double taxation. What they're proposing, and this is just one of the things that they were talking about, is doing a different type of tax that makes up for the loss of the property tax. Because you can't run a city without that. You can't run a school without that fund. So, do I agree with it? No, I don't. I think that, though I would love to not have property taxes, I would love to save that money. I know that the roads won't be fixed. I know that the schools won't run. I know that the police officers won't be there for me. So I would rather pay that than not have it. So I think that cities will have to get creative in how they're going to tax. It will not be a double taxation from what I've heard being proposed. It will be a replacement of a different assessment of some sort in order to make up for that shortfall.
I imagine if they come up with a new tax idea and they put that in front of the abolishing the tax, then we would have a problem. But because they're only asking for taking it away and then come up with a solution later, that's as old as the, that's another one.
Right, because what do we do? Like, there isn't enough money to say that we've put this money away. You can't expect the city to say, oh, we've put away X amount of millions of dollars for this moment. Nobody's expecting such a thing, because this is how we've operated for however long, and to do away with it, not have a game plan of how to recoup those funds, not to have a place of funding. What will the city have to do? They will have to introduce it in some other way in order to make sure that those resources are still available.
Yeah, it's a problem, and the governor is not explaining the replacement of the funds.
Right.
I don't know if it's convenient. Are you forgetting that money's been allocated somewhere?
Right. For years, like the 5-year plans, what's going to happen to those 5-year plans? What's going to happen to the next year plan? What happens to the budget? There's not enough reserves to cover the shortfall.
Yeah. Well, I suspect, this is just my own suspect, I suspect the corporations are going to end up saving a bunch of money more. Maybe the homeowners will save some if they don't institute something else, but it ain't for the it's for the corporations.
Sure.
It's unfortunate. Well, that is, and what is it that you do, or where do you work now?
I own a digital marketing agency called Rubber and Glue. It's Ideas Bounce Digital Marketing, and this is my 13th year of ownership, but prior to that I worked for the Ledger in the digital department, selling advertising on digital space before it was cool, so I've been at this for a minute.
I remember those days.
Yeah.
I got out of the Army in '91. The day I got out, I bought my first computer.
Yeah.
And I installed Microsoft 3.0.
3.0.
3.0. It was the 5 1/4 inch disc. I deleted my auto exec back and reinstalled it. So I've been computers this whole time as well. I've watched the internet grow. I've watched.
Sometimes you still reach for that floppy disk, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Save
I'll tell you
something.
what. Well, before we started talking, I know they got this Neuralink going with what's his name, and at some point, they're going to be able to take what your thoughts are and put it onto a diskette and be able to put it in somebody else. Because I would like to know what you know. I am envious of you. I tried to get those jobs so many times. I was an average student. I didn't care. But I would like to have your experience.
Well,
I would love to have your experience.
I would love to have some of your experience, the people you must know in this town and the things you must hear. I mean, that would be pretty cool to just link up.
It's nice. We Lakeland, Auburndale, Bartow, whenever, it's a beautiful county.
It is.
It is a beautiful county.
It is. I just, and back in May, I graduated Polk Vision Leadership.
Oh, you did?
Class 18.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Best class ever.
There you go.
I gotta say that. And we were able to go to the different cities because you have different days. So we had Bartow Day, Lakeland Day, Winter Haven Day. And let me tell you, some of the things that I was able to see, I mean, just driving by a city, you don't notice these things. But when someone takes the time to explain to you why something is done the way it is, you have so much more of appreciation. And I was so impressed with especially Bartow, the murals on the buildings, and some of the quaint little, and how intentional they are about building that downtown. I thought it was just absolutely fabulous, you know. And I really hope that some of the things that they're doing in Bartow, we can actually do in Auburndale as well, as far as planning that downtown area and making it that central location where people can have restaurants, dining, you know, even bars or shopping districts, so that it's a walkable space that people can come with their families and just hang out and, you know, be very similar to what we have here in Lakeland.
I'm quite pleased with Lakeland. Lakeland got it right. I mean,
yeah.
Well, that is fantastic. If people want to get in contact with you, if they want to ask you harder questions than I'm asking or anything, how can they get in contact with you?
Sure, they can find me on social media. It's Braverman for Auburndale, or you can just go to my website, which is bravermanauburndale.com.
BARVERMAN.
It's BRAVERMAN, Auburndale, AUBURNDALE.com.
You said that there's something else going on recently. Is there a new forum going on? What do you know what's going on in the future, if you don't mind me asking?
So for the candidates for Auburndale, it's going to be a forum on the October 21st at the Auburndale Civic Center, I want to say. That's going to be from 6 to 8, and that's going to be something where people can actually meet and greet the candidates for City Commission. So if you want to come out and actually meet me and the others, they certainly are able to do so on October 21st.
That is fantastic, because you're very approachable. I approached you the other day. It's fantastic. Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to talk about, you know, some of the things that's happened in Auburndale. Sometimes we're almost an island to ourselves, so being able to come on here and have this platform and share some of the things that's happening out there, I welcome the opportunity. So thank you so much for
It's
having
my
me.
pleasure.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. I want to thank COAS for letting me use this beautiful room as well.
Oh yeah.
You have a fantastic day, Melissa.
Thank you.
Absolutely.